I guess since the spring game, you've had time to talk. You said you wanted to sit down individually with all players,
Right.
all the coaches, go over kind of the plan for the summer.
Right.
Obviously, some guys decided to go, but after being able to look back at the game and the performance from each player, where do you feel this team? Have you
Right.
kind of looking back, be able to look forward now?
Right. We did that. We met with every player. We reviewed all the film from the spring, and we had a couple different feelings about the spring. Number one, we felt it was a productive spring. We felt like we were able to accomplish a lot in all three areas, and that was good. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that our players, having been in the program for a year, they knew where to go, how to line up, what plays were being called. The language wasn't new to them, and then the newer players were watching the older players, and they could follow their lead. So it was pretty neat how that worked. We felt like some of the younger players on our team were really improved. Jordan Lucas on defense, Geno Lewis on offense, to name a couple. Adam Brenneman, even though he didn't have a lot of contact in the spring, he is definitely an improved player, and many other guys. So, we felt that way. Again, we know we have some depth issues at certain positions, and so we're hoping some younger players can come in and fill some depth needs there, like at linebacker, things like that. We stayed fairly healthy. Zwinak hurt his wrist in the blue-white game, but he should be ready to go for training camp. And so, we got a lot done, and we were pleased with that. And when we met with the players, again, I think the players appreciate the fact that we sit down with them and tell them one-on-one what their role is on the team and how they can change that role. But I think they appreciate that type of conversation. And then, it's always great to get a chance to continue to get to know these players. We know them pretty well, but anytime you get a chance to sit down with them, for me, is good. So it was good. We have a good feeling about our team going into the summer.
What can your young quarterbacks do between now and the start of camp to facilitate their progress once camp begins?
Right, that's a great question. They have to do everything they do really is on their own with their teammates, because we're not allowed to coach them. And so hopefully you've taught them enough during the spring and during the winter time that they know what they can do on their own to improve, whether it's watching film, studying the playbook, 7-on-7s, 1-on-1, throwing routes with receivers, things like that. And these guys will work at it. I use the example with our guys and tell you the same thing. Matt McGloin made huge strides over last summer. And now he was an older guy, so Tyler and Christian are obviously younger guys, but Matt made a lot of strides, and I think you can make a lot of strides in the summer on your own. And so we'll see how they do with that. And I think they'll work hard, and we'll see how it goes when they show up for training camp.
Does Tyler go into preseason number one just by virtue of having had a spring practice?
Yeah, you'd have to say that he's a little bit ahead of Christian. He's been here for 15 practices, and he's been in a million meetings. So yeah, he's going in. He'll run the first huddle we get in. In training camp, he'll be in that huddle. But it'll be a competition, Scott. That's the measure of a good football team, when you have good players at every position and you can compete. And then we'll officially name a starter hopefully about 2 weeks into training camp. And, we'll see how that goes. But we got to give Christian a chance to catch up and compete and see how that goes.
You said you looked at the film from the spring. What did you see from the defensive ends not named Deion Barnes?
Yeah.
And then also from Naeem Mortman at that other line.
Right. So I think the defensive ends as a position are very improved. Just not, you said not Barnes, but Barnes improved against the run. I thought he made a lot of improvements playing against the run. He's an excellent player. He's a really good player. Anthony Zettel, I was just talking to Scott about Anthony Zettel. He made a lot of improvements from the beginning of the spring to the end. And he's a guy that can do a lot of different things for us. He can play a 4-3 end. He can be a 3-4 outside backer, and he can go inside on third down and rush the passer. So he's a very valuable guy. C.J. Olenyan might be one of the top 5 most improved players on our team. He really is a much better player than he was a year ago after the season. He just is a very, very improved player, and he's doing a better job off the field too in the classroom, which is good to see. Brad Bars is a guy that had I think a very productive spring. He's a quick guy. He's added strength, added a little muscle, and he can really help us. So all of those guys will play for us, and it was good to see their improvement.
areas, so they've got shooting areas. It's a nice lounge. I mean, it's going to be great for them. Great for the student body too to watch a game. Did you get a chance to see how steep that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said it's the steepest allowed.
Exactly.
Kid will allow.
Did you go, like, I thought that was a fantastic idea, and it still is, but I tell you what, when you go up to the top and you look down, you're like, it is a little too steep. Like,
Right.
It goes, so.
Are you getting some feedback from the fans about the arena, and are there parts that they're more excited about than others, or they not
No, they
know
haven't
what
seen
they
it.
should be
You know what?
excited about?
Not very few people have actually had the chance to go and look at it. So we haven't got feedback about the arena. We've got a lot of feedback about the excitement of moving into the arena, the excitement of the Big Ten Conference, but no one's really seen it. I know there's something out now of virtual, seating or something. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, so hopefully we'll be getting feedback
And
soon.
what's the timetable for you guys to have?
For us, I believe the target date is September 5th to move in. Yeah, and the first game's October 11th.
Guys, you probably know, I'm sure you know, that we had the excitement of the Frozen Four here.
Yeah.
You had 4 schools without
Yeah.
great hockey histories. I'm just wondering, how did you interpret that, and what might that mean for your program?
It's funny, we talked about that a lot. I'm not sure it means anything. It could be a blip, as you know. I give all those schools a lot of credit for having great years to get there, but you look at there's some pretty, Minnesota was upset by the Benchville Winners in overtime on a fluke goal. I mean, hockey's an interesting thing. It certainly doesn't take away from the greatness of a Wisconsin and a Minnesota and a Michigan. It was just one of those years. So what does it mean for our program? I think it means that the monsters that we're going to come up against in the Big Ten, that they can be caught. Maybe it provides a little bit of motivation that way, but I think the general consensus from college hockey that, I'm not sure it's a pattern, but maybe a blip.
Yeah, did your team surprise you all last year with how competitive it was when you played Big Ten schools? I guess, Master, are you ahead of?
No, I mean, we were very happy with the results we got, but certainly, I think yes, I was shocked that we were able to have some of the success we did. Now, I give our guys a ton of credit, and they really, I give Penn Staters a lot of credit because they were a huge factor in us being able to rise to the occasion so well, is how much great support we had. Now, this season coming in, I think there might be a bit difference of playing conference games for conference points, but at the same time, those wins were huge for our program. We certainly didn't expect it at the start of the year.
What is going to be the biggest difference this year? Is it just going to be the grind of conference games after conference games?
I think so, because you look at our schedule and who we have. It's going to be, you're going from Wisconsin to Minnesota to Michigan to Michigan State, Ohio State. It's a very good conference with no room to breathe, and I think that's going to be a different factor for us. It certainly this year was we played a lot of teams from a lot of different levels, and you certainly are able to get up for games. You can look ahead to a Wisconsin or Michigan State and look ahead and get up, and next year you're going to be facing a powerhouse every weekend, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's why we come to Penn State. So it's going to be a blast, but it's certainly going to be tough.